All right, welcome back to Jurassic World Evolution. In this video, we're going to continue on with our little instructional type thing, or my instructions, or whatever you want to call it. My help from the things that I struggled with in this game that is not described very well in the help and that sort of stuff. We've covered a few items off, getting our parks set up and all that sort of stuff. All right, what I'm going to talk about in this video is modifying a dinosaur's genome. Why we do it, and what sort of things you can do. Hey, it's Kevin DeWitt here, and welcome to the pasthisprime YouTube channel. If you're new to this channel and you're interested in relaxed, casual gaming for an older generation, then please subscribe to my channel. Like the video and click the notification bell to be notified of all my future videos. All right, now, first off, I'm not an expert on it. I fumble my way through it, and I just basically do what I think feels right to me. Now, before you can even do any modifying of genomes, you need to have researched them. And you can find that research under genetic research, right? So I have all of these items ticked off. We have various things here. Now, depending on where you are in the game and what you're doing will depend on what you have access to, okay? So in regards here, I'm in sandbox, so basically everything here is unlocked. On my case it is, because I had completed the story and everything. But when you're doing the story, the campaign, the challenges, a lot of this stuff may not be researched and be locked. So there's different stuff here. One is the cosmetic genes here, right? So this is all of our skins and various things like that. So the colors of our dinosaurs, different patterns, different skins, all right? So that's one item that we can look at for modifying, right? So first off, we have to research them before they become available to us to modify. We have another hybrid projects thing down here, and this section here is creating all of our hybrids. Some of these get unlocked with the DLC for Dr. Wu and things like that. I can't remember exactly how we get them unlocked, but you can get them unlocked, and this will allow you to do various things. Now so some of them are actually allowing you to create these dinosaurs. This one here is being able to have the camouflage ability on your Indominus Rex. Over here is all of our traits, all right? So this is all the various things. There's lots of them here, right? You've got all of these things. You could read them all. Confined space and intuitive learning and robust digestion. All of these are going to do a different thing to our dinosaur or creature, right? So if you have them all unlocked, brilliant. And there's different levels, right? They usually start, you can see here when I'm on this, it has 3 of 3. When you first start researching this, you'll be at nothing. So the first one would be brain aging 1.0. Then it would be brain aging 2.0. Then it would be brain aging 3.0. The assumption is that as you get up to 3, it is, more power, greater capacity, whatever you want to call it, right? It's a better modifying gene. So obviously research these, right? This is going to require a research center and money to research it and time, right? So once you've got it researched, then technically they're unlocked. So when we go into our Hammond creation lab here and we want to hatch a dinosaur, we can go and incubate and we can pick a dinosaur. Now, when you first start the game, you're probably not going to bother with modifying genes. You're just going to go incubate the base model. That's fine. No problem with that. But you can see all these values on the side here. You know, you've got your attack number, defense, lifespan, resilience, the viability. That's going to... The more we modify these dinosaurs, the harder they are to actually incubate. They will fail a lot. We have our rating and our skin. So our rating will go up based on these values and the modifications. So again, if you want to get 5 stars in your dinosaurs, you want to get dinosaurs with good ratings, and you can do that by modifying them. So the amount of genome that we have access to modify as well is also based on our genome percentage. Okay, so if you have 100%, you have 100% capability of modifying the genome to its full potential, right? So if you've done all the research, you have 100% genome of that dinosaur, then you have the maximum capacity to modify this dinosaur. If you only have 50% of the genome capability, then you don't have access to all the modifications, even if you have researched them all. So if we go into Modify Genome, we're obviously open up this very confusing world here. Now, as I said, see, you've got all of these options across the top here, and that is because I have 100% of the genome. If I had 50% of the genome, it may stop here or here or here, wherever, and won't have any of these back ones. So each one of these is going to do a different or similar function, right? And some of them will be accumulative, for instance. So the very first one is our cosmetic. Now, as I said in the research, cosmetic is our skin, it's our color. So when we're on our first one here, we can scroll down with the buttons to look at what is available to us, right? So the more you've unlocked, the more you have available. So we've got an alpine pattern, jungle pattern, whatever you've got, right? You're going to unlock things. So at the moment, we have default settings, right? So we have no genome modifications on this dinosaur whatsoever. And you can tell that by there not being, well, it shows a pencil on there, but it'll show if it's been modified. So we go back to our skin, you can see our rating is 230. Now, as you can see, as we scroll down, we haven't applied any of these changes yet, but you can see what impact it's going to have. You can see that what it's doing is it's increasing our rating by 25%. So now it's going up to 269, and it drops our viability by 5%. So it's going to be only 95% chance of this hatching successfully now, right? Without it, we're 100% chance it was going to be viable. Now we are taking a greater risk that this egg is going to fail by placing this modification, but we're increasing our rating. So if we want to apply a skin, so let's say we just pick one. Let's say I want to go vivid. Click apply. That has applied it. It's locked it in now for that change. Now, if that's all I want to change, I would now just click the cross button and I would click on incubate. You can see the value has stuck here. Our rating has increased. Our viability's dropped. Incubate it, ready to go. But if I want to do more, now I can scroll across. I can click on these if I want to, or I can just click the arrow across. And next one is attack. So we then have some other options here depending on what you've researched. And they all do a different thing, right? So you can see the description, tooth hardness, 5.0. This number here, as I said, will be like the development, the level of it. You know, you might start off with tooth hardness 1.0. And that's all going to depend on your research. You need to obviously research through each of the levels one at a time as you go. Now, again, you can see what it is doing to our dinosaur. If I was to apply this, it increases his attack potential by 21 points, right? So that's gone up to 122. Every one of these changes is going to reduce the viability of the egg, right? So now our viability has dropped to 84%, but our rating has gone up to 310, right? So it's added 27%. But you might say, well, yeah, I don't really want that one. What's next? Right, now we've got reaction speed. This one increases our attack by 15, but it increases our lifespan by 20. Viability reduces again. Rating goes up. All right, intuitive learning. This one here increases our attack, but it increases our resilience. Again, viability and the rating goes up, right? And they all vary. They're all different settings. So it depends what you want this dinosaur to be increased by. This one here, we're increasing the attack and its defense, right? And its rating goes up again. Hyper efficient blood, 1.0. Attack goes up, lifespan goes up, resilience goes up, rating goes up. Strong muscle fibers, 1.0. Attack goes up, defense goes up, lifespan goes up, rating goes up. And increased bone density. Attack, defense, resilience. Right, so you just need to decide, what do I want? Okay, and then if you want to pick one of those, so for instance, something I always like to do in my parks, unless I'm going for something that I want to be a powerhouse or an attack machine or whatever I want it to be, because dinosaurs seem to die very quickly in this game, I always like to go for modifications that increase the lifespan. It saves them dying a lot, so I might go for this one here, reaction speed 3, and I'll click on apply. So that has locked it in. Now what you need to also be aware of, it also increases the cost, right? We are now at $3 million, right? If I put that back to null, 2.4 million, right? So all of these modifications come at a cost, right? So don't think you can just do whatever you like. You need to look at that value of cost. Okay, so next we have our defense setting. Now, the thing is, they all go sort of hand in hand, because you see that even on the attack one, the defense went up on that and the resilience went up. Now on the defense one, we'll probably find that some of these settings, the attack will go up. So we just have another set of genomes here. So this one, we've got skin toughness. Defense goes up, rating goes up, right? So, and these all accumulate. So our rating is getting higher and higher each time. So again, now we've got aggressive instincts. We get more attack, more defense, more rating. Intensive repair, defense, resilience. Okay, brain aging. Our lifespan jumped up significantly, so I might want to decide to pick this one because I want the lifespan to go even higher. So we increased to 88 before. If I now go and put this genome on top as well, we're now up to 110 years. Okay, but we can scroll through all different settings, right? You can look at all of them. I've got to explain every single one of them. They all have a different thing that they're going to change. So I'm going to put the turtle on. I'm going to apply it. And these are all accumulating. Okay, you can see the little pencil marks showing which ones we've edited. Next, we come across the resilience, another set of settings, right? So again, we can just flick through, find what we want. This case here, I might want immune response because now it increases our lifespan to 131 years. But look at our cost, 4.6 million. And our viability is now down to 53%. We've only got a 53% chance that this egg is going to incubate properly and hatch. Right, somewhere in the game we also unlock some other things, right, which is not quite that one. Now these come later in the game, so more than likely you might not have these, so we'll just skip that for a minute. We can keep going with our defense because as we got more genome, we get more accumulation. So we could do the same settings again in defense, brain aging, 3.0. We could push that now, 153 years lifespan now if I do that. 39% viability though. Good chance this egg is gonna fail. You've got another attack setting. We'll skip the cloud. Now we have a lifespan setting. This is specifically lifespan, okay? But again, they all seem to be the same genes though, so I'm not exactly sure why they're exactly broken up like that. But you can find one and pick it, you know, so we could put the immune response. We're at 174 for aging now. So you just need to decide what is your goal for out of this. Now, as I said, in most of my parks, I'm going for lifespan because I just want my dinosaurs to live for a long time. All right, and then the last one here, again, is another attack one. So again, we could pick another one and get our lifespan up to 194. right? But I won't put anything on that one. Let's jump back to these ones, which were special ones that got unlocked in certain DLCs or something. I can't remember. These ones are going to change different things. So this is not necessarily about our lifespan or our power of our dinosaur. This is now our habitat. So you can see in the default setting here, we have some values, right? So we have a comfort value, 85%. We have grassland. So how much, so this is how much grassland this dinosaur would like to have, to be happy, to be content or comfortable, whatever I can't remember the value is. Then we have the size of the forest. How much population? So how many other dinosaurs can it live with? Social. How many dinosaurs of its own breed can it live with? That's what social is, as opposed to population. So population is how many dinosaurs in total of varying species. So you can have up to 15 dinosaurs of different species in its habitat. But you can also have 0. So it can be quite happy to live by itself. But then you got social, which is, so you've got to balance the two, right? Social is then about its own species, right? If its social is not met, it'll be lonely and it will not be happy. So you need to cater for both of these. So population for this guy is great, right? You don't need to worry about it. You could go up to 15 dinosaurs in its area, but you could also have none. Social, it's easy again, right? But you could only have 1 to 2, right? So 1 is itself. So it can be by itself, but it can also have another one. But if you put 3 in there, it'll become unhappy. And then you got the viability and rating again, right? So these two here, they're not something you adjust. They're just things that happen based on the other ones. So with these ones here, we have the ability to adjust some of these parameters. So if I go to this grassland setting, you can see that we are now increasing its grassland capacity by 10%. So it wants more grassland, but we've reduced its forest. Again, we've adjusted the viability. Forest, we've done the opposite. We increase its forest and we reduce its grassland. Confined space, we're reducing the amount of grassland and forest it needs. So this allows us to put it in a smaller habitat. Okay, so we had grassland 1.0. Now if we go down, we've got grassland 2.0. So this is going to be the same as grassland 1.0, but bigger values, right? So where before it was say 10%, now it's 20%. Same with forest, 20% now. And confined space, same again. So we can put it in an even smaller space. Now we're going to find that we've got grassland 3. So now we're 30%. So bigger values again. So 30%. So why you would use this is if you want to build a park and you want to put certain species of dinosaurs together that maybe quite don't match each other, like one dinosaur loves forest but one loves grassland, you might decide to modify its genome for this one here to say, I want this one to now have a bit more forest and less grassland, so I can put it in a habitat with another dinosaur that loves forest. Right, that's the advantage of this. Or you have a small habitat, but you really want this dinosaur, but it usually loves a big area. Well, you put this genome on and now it can live in a more confined space. Right, so I'm not going to adjust any of those because I don't really care. Right, now we have stress. Now this one here is going to adjust. We've got exactly the same settings here, but it's going to impact its stress levels, right? So how comfortable this dinosaur is. So we can have a stress inhibitor 1.0, and you can see here that reduces its comfort by 10%. But it's actually reducing its rating. So these ones here actually, because it makes it easier for you to look after them, it reduces its rating. So I guess without it, this one here is very particular. it needs a comfort level of 85% for it to be happy. If it goes below 85%, it becomes unhappy and is going to try and break out. We can reduce that to 75%. So that's going to make it easier to look after because we don't have to make it as comfortable. We only have to make it 75% comfortable. Rapid stress response 1.0. This one increases the comfort, which is really weird. Why would you do that? I don't know. Because that would make it really hard to look after. It does increase the rating though. Now, again, you got stress inhibitor 2. So now we're talking 20%. So 65%, easier to look after. Rapid stress makes it 100% stressful. Not sure why you do that. Unless you want a dinosaur that constantly breaks out and is a real pain in the butt, I don't know why you'd put that on. Now you got stress inhibitor 3, so we're down to 55%. Should be pretty easy to look after this guy. And 30% up, disaster. Yeah, the rating goes up really high, but he would be a pain to look after. All right, and lucky last is our social. So again, same settings over here, but we're going to be adjusting a couple of other things here. So now we could do single species. And what does that mean? That didn't. Okay, so that's reduced the population by 3. Okay, so it's down to 12 now. So it would prefer a smaller amount of population now with that setting. Cross species. Okay, so this one here increases the amount up to 20, but it also sets the minimum value of 5. So you need to have a minimum of 5 dinosaurs in its habitat, otherwise it's going to be unhappy. And considering your social is only 1 to 2, that means you at least need another variety, another species altogether. Okay, so that's going to give you greater capacity so you can get a lot more population in there, but very first day 1, you need to get 5 in there quickly. Group 1.0, so this is now not our population, this is increasing our social. So where before it would only allow itself or one other of its own species to be in the habitat, now you can have 2 to 3, but again, it's a minimum of 2, so you need to have 2 minimum to keep it happy, but you could go up to 3 now. Solitary, opposite. It will only be happy by itself. You add another one of its own type, and it's going to be angry. And then we got a group 2.0, so we can make its social greater, so we can go up to 5 of its own type, but its minimum is now 4. So if you don't have 4 of its own species, it's going to be unhappy. And then solitary 2, in this case here, it doesn't matter on him. It drops it by 3. So if you had one that had a bigger social group, you could drop it by 3. Now you might be wondering where and why would you use these ones? Now, in this guy's case here, you probably wouldn't use some of these. Population, I wouldn't bother with this one, only because it's got a 0. But if it had a population where it needed a minimum, so like if its original value was like this, where it had a maximum of 20 and a minimum of 5, if you didn't want to have 5 in a habitat because you wanted a small habitat, you could put this on to reduce it by 3 so that it only needs 2. This one here, the cross species, why you would do that one is because maybe you want to have a massive habitat and have a huge amount of dinosaurs in there. So this guy had a pretty good one to start with, but there are some dinosaurs that have very low values. They will not live with many dinosaurs. So you can apply this setting to increase its capacity for having more dinosaurs so that they're happier with more in there and you're not restricted by having a limitation. Same with this one here. Right? You might not be happy that this guy only will allow 2 of its own kind in the habitat to be there, and you go, well, no, I want 3, because I want to have 3 different skins. Well, you need to apply this to increase its social. Solitary, again, you might just want this because you only want to have 1 of it, and it's just, you know, you just want to make it happier that way. You can also use those drops in social by 3 if it has a very high social. So if you've got one of those dinosaurs, like say a para or a compy or something like that, but you don't want to have so many of them because they're just too expensive or the habitat's not big enough, you can use this setting to reduce its social so you don't need to make so many of them and they can live in a smaller group. That's where you would use that. So basically, you just go through here, apply all the ones that you want, obviously base it on the dollar, what you actually think you need, blah, 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 and then you escape out of here and then you incubate it. You hope that your viability is enough to last and it will live. And there you go. And you do that on every dinosaur, right? Every single one of them has its own genomes. They're all the same. They just have all different variances, right? So, as I said, like a para here, you'll see if we scroll across to social, you'll see they have 1 to 15. No, I wanted one that was... What's one that has a minimum? Compy? Not Compy. Homer? Let's have a look at Homer. So if we go across to social, you'll see that Homer has a social of 3 to 10. Right, so let's say, oh, I don't want to make 3 of them. Right, can't fit them in, whatever. So you might go across and find the one that reduces. So you might say, oh, I'm going to reduce it all the way down to 3. So I can now have 1 Homer if I apply this, and he'll be happy with 1. You know, that might be what you want to go for. It depends. Or you might want to go the other way. Let's say you want to have a T-Rex. And a T-Rex, if we scroll across to the social, I think I've already modified this one, to be honest. Let me get off it. So, the T-Rex social is 1. It only likes living by itself. In this park here, I wanted 2. So I put a group 1.0 on and increased its social to 2. I now have 2 T-Rexes living together in a habitat somewhere. No, that's Giganosaurus. Maybe I didn't do it in this park. I might not have done it yet. Can't remember. Anyway, or are they in here? Yes, there they are. There they are. So I have 2 T-Rexes in here. That is generally unheard of. But with that genome, I have 2 T-Rexes. I need to fill up some feeders because some dinosaurs are getting hungry. Yeah, better do that before they all starve.
Understood.
So that's the reason you might want to do it. So in a park like this where I have unlimited money and I want to create a greater variety, not variety, but bigger impact, I don't want 1 T-Rex, I wanted 2. So I modified the genome to allow it to have 2. And that means they're comfortable now. They're comfortable with 2 of them. Whereas normally, they only allow 1. So there you go. That's the purpose of the genome. I found that quite confusing to start with, and I sort of get an understanding of it now. As I said, it's a balancing act. Why you would use some things over another, that's your personal choice. I've had situations in parks where I've wanted particular dinosaurs and I could just not make them happy because I could not get the right size or criteria or whatever else. Or, as I said, I wanted to have 2 dinosaurs living in the same enclosure, but one of them preferred forest and one preferred grassland, and it just didn't work. So I either had to create a totally different enclosure, or you can make the dinosaurs with those modified genomes and get them to live happily together. So anyway, hopefully that helped you, because I did find that confusing, and I don't find the explanations in the game very easy to follow, if at all. I don't even know if there is an explanation. Some of the things in this game, you just need to work it out, unfortunately, by trial and error. But anyway, hopefully that has helped. Definitely helped me to learn to understand it. And as I said, I generally like to go for anything that gives my dinosaurs lifespan, so that they're not constantly dying and I'm not having to constantly replace them, and they can live a very nice long life. All right, well, hopefully that was enjoyable. Please remember, if you like what you see here, subscribe to the channel, click the like button, click the notification bell to be notified of all my future videos. Go and check out some of my other videos here that are linked on the side. And I thank you for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.